Hi everybody, this is Hero and welcome back to another Dragonflight video. In this video, I'm going to do another raid healing setup, but instead of chain heal focused, I'm going to be looking at the Riptide build. And so I've worked through specifically the spec side of the talent tree, though I've made some adjustments on the class side, and let's get into it. Now, the goal of this build is to emulate a little bit of the playstyle that we've had in the past in a raid, of using a lot of Riptide casts and then cleaving our healing waves with Primordial Wave. So that's the main feature of the build. We're assuming that Echo of the Elements is just missing the tooltip that says you can also have an additional charge of Riptide, and that's my expectation, is that this Echo is supposed to affect both of those spells. Riptide's interesting in this talent setup because we can get access to a number of fairly potent effects. We get access, for instance, to deeply rooted elements alongside Primal Tidal Core, alongside Primordial Wave. So typically we've had to make a choice between deeply rooted and Primal Tidal Core, and having these synergize together is exceptional. Getting a proc of Ascendance for Resto Shaman is an immense amount of spell power. 876% spell power spread across the group. But not only that, we still have about 2 GCDs, maybe 3 GCDs worth of healing that can now be splashed. And Healing Wave at 300% spell power, amplified by a lot of things like Focused Insight and some of these other pieces like Undulation, makes for a really good spell to cleave healing through Ascendance. So one of the very important elements of trying to make the Riptide build is to think about how you can scale it with all of the casts that you get. So the main gameplay is going to be firing off Riptides to get it rolling, firing off a Primordial Wave. I've suggested continuous waves just because I think it's more consistent, though you could get the procs again if you wanted. Keeping our totems down, like Healing Stream, keeping all the utility we need, like Spirit Link Totem, moving that around through Totemic Projection. Similarly with Earth and Wall Totem. There's new utility like Stone Skin, but if you didn't need it, Mana Spring is here also, or Poison Cleansing if that happened to be valuable. Lots of options here. And then just doing a rotational piece. Flame Shocking on CD to get bonus healing, doing Lava Bursts to do damage, Lightning Bolt if you want. We don't have room to take Lava Surge in this setup, nor do we really have room to pick between Resurgence. We kind of need all of the spots we can get. I'm also assuming that Earth Living Weapon is going to remain as is. If it happens to be much better, then I think this Riptide build will be in a more difficult competition with the Chain Heal build that I suggested before. Because if Earth Living Weapon is good, then Chain Heal's value goes up significantly. But can you imagine, guys, once this gets rolling, the Primal Tidal Cores, the Riptides start coming out automatically. You get deeply rooted elements. There's all of these really cool buffs that are interacting. You could do Unleash Life, but I don't think it's as valuable considering how often we're going to be pressing Riptide, and Healing Wave lining up with Primordial is a little awkward compared to Undulation. You can just hold the buff on Healing Wave, cast a Chain Heal while you're waiting for the Primordial to come back, that kind of thing. Overall, this is probably going to be one of the better or more approachable raid healing styles. The Chain Heal one has the disadvantage of being an expensive heal and generally a long cast time, though there are ways to mitigate that, especially given the changes to Tidal Wave and the availability of things like Nature Swiftness. Whereas this build is pretty good cadence. You get your rains down and you're spreading Riptides, and then all you have to do is get this one set of timings right. Primordial Wave into Healing Wave splash. And it's pretty chill. I rated doing the Riptide build with Primal Tidal Core in the past expansion, and it was nice and relaxed. You could raid lead from it fairly easily because you don't have to be concentrating as much on bars for your raid team. You can call up mechanics knowing that the cycle of Riptides into Healing Waves is pretty consistent. And I think it's poised to be a very, very strong healer especially at the beginning of the expansion where our mastery is somewhat more valuable. Some other elements to talk about, things like Wave Speaker's Blessing, I think are excellent, moving it to 21 seconds. Things like Flash Flood returning, making sure our healing waves are definitely fast enough. So 20% here, and then after you cast, after you use one of the tidal waves, you get Flash Flood, so it gives you another 10% for the second part. We still have access to other tools if you really needed APT. You can take it instead of Earthen Wall. Yeah, and then Ancestral Awakening. We'll see how powerful this is, but I can imagine a cleaved healing wave critting a bunch of people and potentially putting a bunch of throughput out. One of the final bits, I should mention, I don't think Torrent's probably worth it. We really don't have space because we want to get down to Deeply Rooted. It's just stronger, but this is also a consideration. Undercurrent seems to me to be one of those interesting pieces. I would say that the Chain Heal build has slightly more dead talents in it. If you look at my last video, we had to take Undercurrent to get to Deeply Rooted for Chain Heal, just because it's such a strong effect to link with Ascendance. So both Earth and Harmony and Undercurrent weren't quite as valuable for the Chain Heal build. But here, Undercurrent is at least serving a better purpose since we're doubling up on Riptides. We're throwing out more with Primal Tidal Core. We've indexed into Prime Wave, that kind of thing. So you can expect to be doing 4, 5%, maybe even up to 10% more. That maybe is a bit ambitious, but up to 10% more healing just by passively having Riptides out. This build does not index into very much damage, and I think I'm going to probably try to do a raid damage Resto Shaman build and try to work through talents that would work for that while still retaining most of the tools. But overall, this one looks so relaxed to me. I can see how all the pieces are working together. You got lots of utility. You can index into even more utility if you want. You have the all-powerful Spirit Link Totem, which really cannot be duplicated in any other spec. If you guys are looking for something just to get you started and make you feel comfortable coming out of Shadowlands for a raid, I think I would suggest this one. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I'll catch you again next time.